I grew up in southwest London, I grew up in Kew, and everybody said, oh, you can't be a punk if you live in Kew because it's all terribly nice. But you can't live your life according to what the neighbours think. And I sometimes, at the beginning, used to wear just big, loose, baggy, my dad's old shirts. I didn't have any money. I didn't know where to go and get clothes, and I thought, why should I pay for clothes when if I can just make some stuff at home? If I'd made a pair of trousers, they'd write you, take a picture of me. Because I thought, I'm never going to look like this again. And my parents were appalled at my appearance. They were appalled. And I used to say to them, I'm not going to look like this when I'm 40, am I? So we're now at the site of Brentford Leisure Centre, which in the late 70s used to be the site of Brentford Market. And I used to turn up, sometimes with my mum, to see if they had any records for sale. At that stage, I once had orangey green hair. There was this bloke selling Heinz baked beans, and he made some comments to the crowd about me looking a bit like baked beans. And he said to my mum something like, one day you'll be proud of him. And my mum said, I already am, which was quite a surprise because she didn't say that 2 years earlier. So after a while, after the initial fuss, they just sort of thought, well, that's just what she looks like and she'll grow out of it.
You could only go to kind of Oxfam shops in Norwich and rip the kind of pockets off, put some safety pins on, have some drain pipes and buy some monkey boots. So, you know, it was the only way to come down to London, and you knew King's Road was the place to come. It was making your journey down the left as usual, so you could go past Boy or King's Road Market, see if anything was in there. And you're making a beeline really for seditionaries.
Malcolm and his girlfriend Vivian's highly original designs formed the basis of the first punk dress.
But I knew Johnson's was just before it, which was a teddy boy shop selling drapes, brothel creepers, leather jackets. You kind of like had a look who was in, and you'd go in thinking everyone's all right. The time I went in, it wasn't all right because the guys behind, you know, the till selling were great, but the two teddy boys told me to, go, which I did. Then it all came in, you know, that you understood that, you know, there was a real rivalry going on.
Rock and roll is dead.
Between here and Seditionaries, you had to really like look round the corner, because in my mind, all the teddy boys would come from this sort of side of town, where it was I felt quite safe down Sloane Square. And there seemed to be more punks around there, you know, congregating around Boy. So, yeah, you had to be a bit careful around here. I feel a lot safer. Well, I'm not looking around the corner anymore, put it that way, for tents.
I would say that the people here today are probably the same people who were here in 1976. I mean, no punks lived here. It wasn't like they lived in Chelsea. So they were very much, you know, outsiders and freaks in this area. There would have been lovely Chelsea mummies and rich people walking about with kind of scary-looking punks, I suppose. Yeah, I don't know about scary, but yeah, I was one of them. And then you got, you know, later on, you got those sort of punks that were just here to have their pictures taken with Mohicans and charge tourists money to take pictures of them. Some punks could afford to buy stuff, some would have been head to toe in it, some probably nicked it, shoplifted it. It was quite expensive, especially the stuff from Seditionaries. These are a couple of scrapbooks actually that I've had since those days. quite weird, straightforward things. Oh, this is a good one. I like this one. That's on a student. That's my friend sent that to me. That's on like a student NUS march or something. And she's put Thugs Unite. I definitely got stared at all the time, and I was actually quite anxious about it. And now I think, well, why did you do it? You know, it's good to be something. I'd never been really a hippie or a mod or a skinhead or anything. And nobody really knew what punks were to start with. So it got given the name punk after a while, but it was good to be something. I'd never, you know, I was something.
Because we weren't accepted in what we call normal pubs, like this one was the only pub along King's Road that served punks, Chelsea Potter. No other pub would do it. And the same all around London, wherever you went, up the West End or wherever. Because if you're thinking about it, it's 40 years ago, I was 22 then, so I was quite young at the time, you know, and we've been together 38 years now. Bev's 60 in January, you know. He fancies you now, Bev. But it was buzzing down here. It was the place to go. It was buzzing. And when we came down here thinking, oh, we'll be the only punks, there was like hundreds of punks walking up and down the road. We used to bring a change of clothes out with us because we didn't want to look the same in the afternoon as we did in the evening, because we used to go on to clubs in the evening.
And we'd stay all day.
Yeah, just stay all day. Yeah. You know, just stay there all day. Didn't go home, you know, until probably the next morning.
It was great.
It was brilliant. It was brilliant. Like, you know, it was like what?
You just knew it'd be, as soon as you come along here, you knew it'd be really busy and you knew that you'd have a really good afternoon.
It's one big family. 3 o'clock used to shut. What we did was, next door was an off licence. We used to go next door, all buy cans of lager or bottles of cider or whatever, and just walk up and down the King's Road for another 2.5 hours. From this side of the road to the next, out here, is mobbed out with punks.